Hello, I'm Robin Gibson, and this is the Harvard House Money Morsel. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell so you get a notification of when we're releasing a new video. I think you'll notice that some of the ladies in the office have got six senses of humor. So we've been dressed by our back office this morning. You're looking amazing, Willie, I have to say.
It's late.
Yeah, exactly. So this will be the last Money Morsel until early next year. And Willie, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
So, Willie, we've just been around the roadshow around the country giving what has been a particularly optimistic good news. And then, it's just, you start talking and then you get a few negative stats. So we've had a couple of negative stats, one on the GDP and one on employment. Please tell us there's more to this story and it hasn't derailed your story.
Robin, true. It's actually on the day of one of the presentations, we're telling people we're going to grow potentially at 3%, and then you get a number that's saying we dropped by 0.3%. So that was the third quarter stat on the GDP. And typical headline newspaper thing, the GDP stumbling and so on. But like we always say is we need to delve into the numbers. And the big upset in that number was actually agriculture, which is around 5, 6, 7% of GDP, of the pie of GDP. That fell by 28%. Now, again, there's lots of finer detail to go in. So the minus 28%, obviously, all the slow positives that we have dragged it into a negative. So it's all been the agricultural sector, the sectors that we're focusing on at the moment, obviously the consumer and then capital formation or infrastructure and so on. Those numbers were all positive numbers, which talks to our story. So in agriculture, I think there's also some of the agricultural co-ops and so on have launched an investigation and just to see, because the minus 28 is huge. And we didn't have it all fall down agriculture, so maybe there's a bit of miscalculation or whatever. But our story is still intact. If I look at the underlying trends, then it's up.
I did see there was a report that there was some question about how accurate those numbers were.
Yeah, and one can't challenge the accuracy because the calculation is correct, but I think they fed into things like crop season, the estimates as to how much was actually harvested, and then how much, from the farmer to the silo to the port type of thing. I think there's a bit of stats that didn't filter into the system.
Okay. And then the other one was, I think in the last day or so, we've had some employment numbers.
So that's our third quarter, again, update on the overall employment statistics in the country. Same thing, the headline number read that we lost 242,000 jobs. If you look at this quarter relative to the same quarter in the previous year, again, that's accurate. If you look at it quarter to quarter, the negative number was 133,000. Going into the stats, of the 133,000, 129,000 were actually short-term employment in government, in the government environment. So those are your temporary work environment. So it's a flow of data. So it looks factually, wow, we've lost a lot of jobs. But if you look at the trend of what government is doing, they work on projects, they have temporary staff and so on. So what I focus on in the numbers is actually looking at the private sector. And in the private sector, we lost, I think, 44,000 jobs. If you look at it from the previous quarter to now. And that's in the financial services industry. And if one goes back to COVID, a lot of institutions after COVID employed people, specifically in the financial services industry, to help with, people were unsure. So like in our industry, people want to get to their money. So you employ people to help you with admin and so on. So some of those jobs have come to an end. Maybe they were on contract for 2 years or 3 years. So again, one has to look at the underlying. For me, the positive, Robin, is if I go back and I plot these stats back to the COVID period where we lost more than 1 million jobs. So if you take that as your base and you go forward, then the only industry that hasn't created more jobs since that level is actually the mining industry. The others are all up. So,
And actually coming back to the financial services, since grey listing, there was a real focus into the financial, and there was a lot of remediation to be done. I'm sure they employed an awful lot of people to well, we've all know
Yeah.
how we've been asked for know your client and how much difficult it has got to do
So in
anything
that
financial.
compliance space, I think there
Yeah.
were a lot of jobs
Extra
created
jobs
that's now
created,
coming
yeah.
to an end.
So context is very important.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Willie, thank you so much for giving us your time. You look awesome in that cap. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for our loyal subscribers during the course of the year. We do wish you a very peaceful Christmas, a prosperous 2025, and let's hope that we all see Willie's insight story unwind over the next 12 months.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you next year. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.